Perhaps the most interesting thing about corporal punishment is not simply that it happened, it is how differently people remember it. Ask people who attended school during the 1950s, 1960s, or 1970s about the cane or slipper, and the answers can be remarkably varied. Some will laugh. They remember being slippered for talking, receiving the ruler for some classroom offence, or being sent to the head teacher for something more serious. They may tell the story almost as an adventure from childhood. Then comes the familiar expression, "It never did me any harm." For some people, that may be exactly how they feel. There is little point telling somebody that an experience must have traumatized them when they genuinely do not remember it that way. Many former pupils regarded corporal punishment as simply another unpleasant part of school life. But that was not everybody's experience. For another pupil, the same punishment could be remembered very differently. The physical pain might have disappeared within hours, yet the embarrassment of standing in front of classmates could remain vivid decades later. The walk towards the teacher's desk, the silence of the classroom, and the knowledge that everyone was watching could leave a stronger impression than the punishment itself. The original recollections demonstrate just how personal these memories could be. Some people remembered teachers who used physical punishment, while simultaneously describing those same teachers as kind, caring, or good educators. To modern readers, that can appear contradictory. To the people who lived through the period, it was not necessarily so. A teacher could comfort a distressed child in the morning and punish another pupil in the afternoon, without believing there was any contradiction between the two actions. That was the culture in which they worked. It is therefore dangerous to look backwards through either entirely rose-tinted or entirely dark glasses. Not every teacher who used the cane was a sadist. Not every pupil who received it was permanently damaged. But equally, not every punishment was reasonable simply because corporal punishment happened to be accepted at the time. Some punishments were undoubtedly excessive. Some were humiliating. Some were unfair. And some pupils carried those memories for much longer than the adults involved probably ever realized. There is also the question of fear. Supporters of corporal punishment often remember that classrooms were quieter and teachers commanded greater respect. Perhaps they did. But fear and respect can look remarkably similar from the front of a classroom. A pupil sitting silently because they admire their teacher, and a pupil sitting silently because they fear being struck, are both sitting silently. The difference cannot necessarily be seen. That is one reason memories of the period remain so divided. For some, the cane represents discipline, boundaries, and consequences. For others, it represents fear, humiliation, and an imbalance of power between adults and children. Neither memory can simply erase the other. History becomes distorted when we decide beforehand what people ought to remember. The real story is more complicated. Corporal punishment was part of British childhood for generations. Millions experienced it. Some shrugged it off, some laughed about it later, some hated it, and some never forgot it. Perhaps the fairest way to understand the period is therefore not to ask whether everyone was harmed or everyone benefited. The better question is much simpler. What did it mean to the individual child standing in front of the teacher? And there was never going to be only one answer.